What do you get when you mix a chainsaw, alcohol, and the need to impress your friends? One very short juggling act and one very permanent lesson about sharp objects. This bloody performance is just the beginning of our most shocking Darwin Awards collection yet, featuring people who turned simple activities into death-defying disasters. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another absolutely mind-bending episode of Wow Amazing. Today, we're diving deep into Volume 35 of our top 10 most ridiculous human fails, featuring Darwin Award winners who really believed they were smarter than basic safety rules. But before we jump into these jaw-dropping tales of spectacular human creativity gone wrong, make sure you absolutely smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell, like it's your job. Trust me, after watching these stories, you're going to want notifications for every single episode. Number 10, Backyard Fireworks Factory. We're kicking things off with a bang, literally. On a quiet 4th of July, one Darwin Award winner decided store-bought fireworks just weren't spicy enough for his distinguished taste in explosions. This 35-year-old backyard genius figured he could whip up something way better using household chemicals and sheer confidence. Because why settle for sparklers when you can risk turning your garage into a Michael Bay movie set? Armed with cleaning supplies, fertilizer, and whatever flammable liquid was hiding under the sink, our explosive entrepreneur went full Breaking Bad, minus the brains. And of course, after binge-watching a few questionable YouTube tutorials, he thought he was basically a licensed pyrotechnician. Spoiler alert, he was not. Now you might be wondering, what could possibly go wrong when an untrained amateur mixes unstable chemical in an enclosed garage while smoking a cigarette? The answer, absolutely everything. Picture it. Cigarette dangling from his mouth like he's in some kind of budget action movie. He lights the fuse, puffs confidently, and boom, instant fireworks show. His face ended up looking less like rugged hero and more like burnt meatloaf at a family barbecue. In a full-blown panic, he bolts into the street, on fire, like some kind of dollar store human torch. The sight startled a passing driver so badly they swerved, nearly crashed, and still clipped our fiery inventor. Talk about going out with style points. The end result? He got his Darwin Award, the neighborhood got a free fireworks display, and the fire department got a story they'll probably tell every 4th of July cookout forever. Number 9. Horror movie multitasking. Some people jog, some people watch movies, and then there are the overachievers who think, why not risk my life doing both at once? This 40-year-old fitness fanatic from Texas believed regular exercise was just too boring. So, in the spirit of extreme multitasking, he decided to sprint full speed on his treadmill while watching a horror movie, because nothing says healthy lifestyle like cardio plus cardiac arrest. He set up his tablet right in front of the treadmill, cranked the speed to cheetah mode, and thought, I got this. Jump scares? Please, I'm unshakable. What he forgot is that horror movies are literally engineered to make people jump, and jumping on a treadmill is less fitness and more catapult training. Sure enough, the inevitable scare hit. Our multitasking marathon man leapt like a startled gazelle, except physics doesn't like gazelles on treadmills. He shot off the machine like a human cannonball, smashed into the shelf behind him, and, because fate has a sense of humor, dislodged a heavy dumbbell. That dumbbell came down like Thor's hammer, with perfect comedic timing. The irony? His smartwatch logged the whole fiasco. Step count through the roof, heart rate spiking like a stock market bubble, and then flatline. Still technically his personal best. So remember, folks, treadmills are for running, horror movies are for screaming, and combining the two, that's how you end up starring in your own horror story, directed by Darwin. Number 8, the honey harvest horror. Ever wanted fresh honey but didn't want to pay those expensive beekeeper prices? Well, one Darwin Award contender thought he'd cracked the code. Why buy honey when you can fight 10,000 armed insects for it, for free? This 31-year-old urban forager spotted a massive beehive in his backyard and thought, jackpot, free honey. There was just one teensy tiny problem. He was deathly allergic to bee stings. But did that stop him? Nope. Because when stupidity and confidence team up, you get innovation. Instead of calling professional beekeepers, or maybe just going to Walmart for a honey bear like the rest of us, he made his own protective beekeeper suit. Materials? State-of-the-art. 1. Trash bags. 2. Duct tape. 3. And the unshakable belief that bees respect recycling. So there he was, looking like a rejected villain from a low-budget Power Rangers episode, armed with a stick in the IQ of said stick. His plan? Simple. Smash the hive until honey magically rains down like Winnie the Pooh's wet dream. Only, bees don't negotiate with terrorists. The second he took that first swing, it was like he'd kicked open the saloon doors in an old western. Except the sheriffs were 5,000 furious bees with built-in tasers. His trash bag armor? Let's just say it held up about as well as a paper umbrella in a hurricane. The bees found every single duct tape gap like they were playing an extreme version of Where's Waldo. In panic, he sprinted to his backyard pool and jumped in. Now this could have been a heroic escape if he'd remembered one small detail. He couldn't swim. So there he was, drowning in his pool, getting stung, surrounded by floating bee corpses, while somewhere in the distance, a bear probably thought, "Man, amateurs ruin everything." Moral of the story? Sometimes the sweetest things in life are just not worth dying in a trash bag for. Number 7, the elevator escape artist. Imagine you're late for an important meeting, stuck between floors in a broken elevator, and your patience is running thin. What do? Normal people press the emergency button and wait for help like civilized human beings. But our next Darwin Award winner decided elevators are just suggestions, and physics is more of a guideline than an actual rule. This 45-year-old office worker always thought he was smarter than safety regulations and too important to wait for professional help. When the elevator stopped between floors, leaving him trapped with his briefcase and disappearing patients, he made a decision that would permanently solve his tardiness problem. Instead of waiting for maintenance like everyone else, our impatient executive decided to fix the situation himself. Using brute force and complete ignorance of how elevators work, he pried open the doors and saw his escape route. This seemed reasonable to someone who'd never learned about staying inside moving machinery. He was halfway through squeezing his body through the opening when the elevator sprang back to life, as elevators sometimes do. Unfortunately, elevators don't pause to check if anyone is halfway through the door, and they don't care about your meeting schedule. The machinery activated with the efficiency of a mechanical guillotine, cutting our impatient worker exactly in half with surgical precision. His colleagues below heard a thud and found his lower half still clutching his briefcase, ready for that meeting he was desperately trying to reach. Sometimes the fastest way out of a problem is also the fastest way out of existence. Number 6, the chainsaw circus. Every camping trip has that one guy. You know, the human cartoon character who thinks firewood is optional, but bringing a chainsaw is absolutely essential. Our star of the night was a 29-year-old self-proclaimed lumberjack in training. Translation: he watched half an episode of Axemen once and thought he was Paul Bunyan. After downing more beers than brain cells he had left, he decided to put on a show. His genius plan? Juggle a running chainsaw while chugging another beer, because nothing says "hold my drink" quite like a death wish disguised as a talent show. And you know what? For about 10 glorious seconds, it actually looked cool. The chainsaw spun through the air, he caught it with swagger, and his buddies went wild like they'd just discovered the world's dumbest Vegas act. But here's the problem. Chainsaws are not juggling balls. They don't bounce. They don't forgive. And they definitely don't care about your liquid courage. One slip later, boom! His juggler turned into a high-pressure lawn sprinkler. At first, his friends cheered louder, convinced this was the best special effects prank they'd ever seen. "Bro, where'd you buy the fake blood?" Spoiler, it wasn't fake. To make things worse, he collapsed face first into the campfire. Suddenly, their fun little marshmallow roast looked like the director's cut of a horror movie. Moral of the story: if you ever find yourself juggling a chainsaw at a campsite, just remember, the only thing you'll win is a front row ticket to the Darwin Awards. Number 5, rain surfing disaster. Ever looked at a moving car during a rainstorm and thought, You know what would make this better? Standing on top of it? Yeah, neither have I. But our next Darwin Award winner apparently thought regular surfing was too limited by silly things like oceans and beaches. This 25-year-old adrenaline junkie believes safety warnings were just suggestions for boring people who still use coasters under their drinks. For him, extreme sports weren't extreme unless there was at least a 70% chance of meeting the Grim Reaper mid-activity. So during a heavy rainstorm, while normal people were inside making soup and watching Netflix, our storm surfer saw an opportunity, the ultimate wave, his Honda Civic. He recruited his buddy as a driver, because no bad idea is complete without a friend saying, "Yeah, bro, sounds awesome." The plan? Climb on the roof and surf the slick metal surface like it was pipeline in Hawaii, because who needs beaches when you have got potholes and power lines? At first, it was going great. And by great, I mean he didn't immediately die. He was up there, arms out like a soggy superhero, probably thinking he was the main character in Fast and Furious 27. Surf or die. His friend drove carefully, which is the funniest part of this whole story. Like, "Don't worry, man, I'll go slow so you don't fall off the moving car you're illegally surfing on." But then, destiny struck. Or more accurately, the front bumper struck a pothole big enough to qualify for its own zip code. Our roof surfer was launched into the air like a human frisbee. He soared gracefully, like an eagle, if that eagle had terrible decision-making skills. And just when you thought it couldn't get more cartoonish, he made contact with a low-hanging power line. Zap. Suddenly, he wasn't just a surfer, he was also a glow stick. Witnesses said he lit up brighter than a Christmas tree in Times Square, proving that yes, physics is very real, and no, your car roof is not a surfboard. Number 4, the carbonated catastrophe. Think cooking shows make everything look too easy? Our next Darwin Award winner was convinced she could revolutionize the smoothie industry with creative chemistry and dangerous ignorance. This 55-year-old kitchen experimenter thought regular recipes were too boring, and safety warnings were suggestions for people who lacked imagination. Her brilliant plan was to add dry ice to her blender to create a super fizzy, carbonated smoothie that would impress friends and make her famous on social media. She'd confused her kitchen with a chemistry lab and her blender with professional equipment designed for dangerous materials. She'd seen restaurants using dry ice for dramatic effects and figured she could recreate those results with her household blender. What she didn't realize was that dry ice creates pressure that even professional equipment sometimes can't handle. She loaded her blender with fruits, yogurt, and generous dry ice, then hit blend with the confidence of someone who'd never taken physics. For a few seconds, everything seemed perfect. The mixture blended smoothly and created exactly the fizzy effect she wanted. But dry ice doesn't just create carbonation, it creates pressure, lots of it, more than any household blender was designed to contain. The buildup happened faster than she could react, and her blender exploded like a kitchen grenade, sending glass shards flying with the force of a small bomb, the largest pieces embedded in her throat, while the super-cooled mixture created injuries that would have impressed a trauma surgeon. She choked on her own creation, proving some food trends are deadly trends, and carbonation can be a killer when you don't understand the science. Number 3, the acid bath apocalypse. Ever had a clogged drain that wouldn't unclog no matter what you tried? Most people call a plumber. Some people try a different product. But our next Darwin Award winner thought, why call a plumber when I can call down the spirit of Breaking Bad? This 37-year-old chemistry dropout figured one semester of Intro to Chemistry gave him a PhD in explosions and poor life choices. When his bathtub backed up, he decided to play mad scientist with hydrochloric acid and bleach. Pro tip, if your recipe starts sounding like a World War I field manual, maybe don't cook it up in your bathtub. Instead of creating drain cleaner, he made chlorine gas, the same stuff armies used before deciding maybe this is a war crime. And did he wear gloves, goggles, or open a window? Nope, he poured both chemicals in and watched proudly like he just invented the iPhone. Then, because curiosity kills more than cats, he dipped his foot in to test it. His skin melted instantly, like dipping a marshmallow in a campfire. In panic, he slipped and fell headfirst into his own corrosive soup. Neighbors noticed the smell for weeks. They thought someone was just a really bad cook. Spoiler, it wasn't overcooked curry, it was him. Moral of the story, sometimes calling the plumber is cheaper than turning your bathroom into a Chernobyl reenactment. Number 2. The DIY submarine disaster. Ever dreamed of exploring the deep sea but didn't want to pay for scuba lessons? Our next winner had the same dream, plus zero patience and negative engineering skills. This 39-year-old garage engineer thought submarines were just boxes that don't let water in. That's like saying brain surgery is just don't touch the squishy parts. She welded herself into an old oil drum and declared, "Behold, my submarine. Plan A, get inside. Plan B, get lowered into the lake. Plan C, surface and become famous." Unfortunately, she forgot Plan D, make sure it floats. The second her submarine touched water, it sank like a bowling ball in a kiddie pool. She didn't build a submarine, she built the world's most expensive anchor. Divers later found her DIY death capsule at the bottom of the lake, complete with scratch marks on the inside. She didn't discover Atlantis. She discovered why submarine engineers need actual degrees. Moral of the story, if your submarine is made of recycled trash cans, you're not Jacques Cousteau, you're Oscar the Grouch with a death wish. Number 1, The Bear Whisperer's final performance. And now, the grand finale. Have you ever seen a nature documentary where the cameraman gets a little too close and thought, "That looks easy, I could do that"? Our final Darwin Award winner took that thought and covered it in honey and fish guts. Literally, this 35-year-old wannabe Dr. Dolittle believes she could befriend a grizzly bear using food, confidence, and Disney princess logic. Because nothing says "don't eat me" like smelling exactly like a bear's dinner buffet. She set up a camera, marched into bear territory, and waited. And wouldn't you know it, the bear was interested, just not in friendship. Instead of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, this turned into Hannibal Lecter meets the Discovery Channel. The bear happily turned her into a 4-course meal while her camera kept rolling, capturing what might be the world's most disturbing cooking show. Bear versus buffet. Lesson learned. Bears don't want to talk to you. They don't want to hug you. They want to eat you. And covering yourself in honey is basically sending them a dinner invitation. Bonus entry, Workplace Fireworks Finale. As a special bonus for sticking around, let me tell you about a workplace incident that proves some people will turn any job into an extreme sport. This 33-year-old warehouse worker decided office pizza parties were too boring. Instead of balloons or cake, he thought, "You know what my coworkers really want? A fireworks show made of paint cans and gunpowder?" Because nothing says team building like accidental terrorism. So he rigged a forklift with his homemade pyrotechnics, hoisted himself 20 feet in the air, and declared himself CEO of fun. His logic was flawless. If this goes well, promotion. If it goes badly, at least everyone will remember me. Spoiler, they did, just not in the way he hoped. The second he lit the fuse, his forklift party cannon didn't become a fireworks show. It became a live reenactment of every Michael Bay movie ever made. Boom! Shrapnel everywhere, paint cans flying like confetti at a parade from hell. One piece of flying metal even severed his arm, which, to be fair, was probably the universe's polite way of saying, "Hey buddy, maybe stop." But he didn't stop, because seconds later his contraption ignited a nearby fuel drum. Suddenly their casual workplace party turned into Warehouse Inferno 3000. As he fell into the blaze, witnesses claim his final words were, "This'll go viral." And you know what? He wasn't wrong, just not the kind of viral he wanted. Lesson learned, sometimes the best office parties are the ones where everyone goes home with cake and not third-degree burns. And there you have it, folks. Volume 35 of our top 10 most stupid Darwin Award winners. If any of these tales made you feel better about your own life choices, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Remember, the Darwin Awards exist to remind us that survival of the fittest isn't just a theory. It's a daily test that some people fail in the most spectacular ways possible.